You're listening to the ADHD Support Talk Radio podcast. ADHD Support Talk is sponsored by ADDclasses.com. Visit www.addclasses.com to sign up for free webinars today. Well, hello and welcome back to ADHD Support Talk Radio. I'm your co-host, Lynne Edris, and as a productivity coach, I help overwhelmed professionals reduce procrastination, improve time management, and get more done with less effort so that they have more time, more energy, and even more money for what they love the most. I'm a woman with ADHD myself, so I've been where many of my clients are, and I've come out the other side, so to speak. And I know you can share the same success. You can learn more about me, what I do, and the programs and services I offer at www.coachingadvantages.com. That's coachingaddvantages.com, little play on words there. And when you sign up on my website or text the keyword HACK, H-A-C-K, to 444-999, I'll send you my 7 foolproof productivity hacks to help you add hours of free time to your weeks by investing just a few smart minutes each day. So today I have with me a new guest, Dr. Sharon Saline. And Sharon Saline is a clinical psychologist and author of What Your ADHD Child Wishes You Knew, Working Together to Empower Kids for Success in School and Life. She specializes in working with kids, young adults, and families living with ADHD, learning disabilities, and mental health issues. Her unique perspective as a sibling in an ADHD home, combined with decades of experience as a clinical psychologist, an educator, clinician, consultant, assists her in guiding families and adults toward effective communication and closer connections. She lectures and facilitates workshops internationally on topics such as understanding ADHD, executive functioning, and different kinds of learners, and the teen brain. You can learn more about Sharon at drsharonsaline.com. And we'll put the link to Sharon's website on the ADHD Support Podcast page. So welcome, Sharon. I'm excited to have you today.
Thank you, Lynn. Welcome back to you. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, tell us, is there anything you'd like the listeners to know? And then tell us, what you're going to share with us today, what we're going to talk about.
Well, I think what I would like to share with the listeners right away is that I'm so excited because on Tuesday, which was 2 days ago, my first book was released.
Yay.
By Penguin Random House, and it's called What Your ADHD Child Wishes You Knew, Working Together to Empower Kids for Success in School and Life. And I have been getting some great feedback, reviews from professionals in the field who have really supported the book. I think what's different about this book, in fact, I know what's different about this book, is that I interviewed dozens of kids with ADHD, so their perspectives are what's at the core of the book in combination with my 5 C's parenting approach. So I'm super excited. It's been incredibly busy, and I'm thrilled to be here to be talking with you and getting to know you.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you. And the book sounds neat. I love the kids' perspective. It is something different. So tell us what you want to talk with us about today.
Well, today I thought we would talk about adults with ADHD and managing anxiety. Anxiety is something that many people who have ADHD and many people who don't have ADHD are very familiar with. And I think sometimes we approach our anxiety in a way that actually makes it worse. And I want to help people try to turn down that volume button on anxiety effectively and come out the other side feeling stronger and more confident.
That sounds wonderful. I know there are a lot of us with ADHD who suffer with anxiety, whether it's clinically diagnosed anxiety, but definitely anxiety challenges.
Well, some of that is because if you think about how much negative feedback people with ADHD have received over the course of their lifetime, what they have heard over and over again is how they missed the mark, how they're going to fall short again. It makes sense that over time, as young children start to develop a persistent sense of worry or hypervigilance, and not maybe hypervigilance, but just vigilance. It becomes hypervigilant at times when there's a crisis, about when I'm going to mess up again, when I'm going to miss the cue, when I'm going to not hear what my friends are telling me and they're going to laugh. And so over time, this anxiety starts to walk hand in hand with the ADHD. And so research has found that 47% of adults with ADHD have also been diagnosed with anxiety.
Wow.
Now, a lot of anxiety is managed by the frontal lobes. Now, anxiety kind of starts with the amygdala, that part of our brain that helps with the fight or flight reactions. Right. And what anxiety means is that someone's reaction is bigger than the situation already calls for. And in those moments, the feeling part of your brain where the amygdala is located, the limbic system, fueled by adrenaline, takes over the thinking part of your brain, the frontal lobe, and the executive functioning capacities. So the what-ifs become worst-case scenarios and crisis moments. With ADHD, those frontal lobes are already dealing with challenges for regulation, emotional regulation, impulse control, planning, sequencing, managing one's reactions in an appropriate manner, understanding how someone, how you are behaving and how that behavior affects other people, and then also working memory. So with anxiety, what happens is that because your frontal lobes are already working so hard to manage typical ADHD challenges with the executive functioning skills, beating back anxiety can be extra challenging. It can be extra hard.
So we sort of wear out that in simplistic terms.
Go ahead. It's like you have a weak muscle and then you add weight to it.
Absolutely. That's a great metaphor or analogy. That's a great way to explain it. It's a big struggle for a lot of my clients. Absolutely.
It is, and people feel bad about themselves. And sometimes it's so second nature that they're not even aware they're doing it. That's what I meant about that when I said kind of a hypervigilance. It's like, to me, it's like the telephone. It's like there's a scanner above their head that's scanning the horizon all the time for incoming information that. Which means they have to be on alert, which means you're feeling anxious, which makes your body, run in a different way than it would if you're just more neutrally perceiving and receiving what's happening around you.
Like the rest of the world may be. Absolutely.
Well, like neurotypical brains, sure.
Right.
And the other thing is that there's a real difference between worry and anxiety. I think people often sort of confuse the terms or exchange them for being the same. Worry is how you think about something. Anxiety is a physical response to a trigger that involves your body, a rapid heart rate, shortness of breath, your thinking, racing, distorted thoughts, and your emotions, fear and negativity. It's common for all of us to experience some worry or dread at times. Maybe you're nervous about meeting new people, or perhaps you hate doing presentations at work. But avoiding things only makes the anxiety stronger. And what you need to learn, what we have to teach ourselves, is how to talk back to worry. And the way we do that is by recalling times when you relied on your inner resources or problem-solving skills and overcame some worry for success. That helps you turn down the noise. Instead, what most people do is they go towards avoidance and they seek reassurance. Yeah. So avoiding something that makes you anxious actually only intensifies the anxiety, and seeking reassurance, which makes perfect sense for kids when they're young, over time teaches you that you can't do it on your own. And that's why I work really hard with parents of kids who worry to help them shift their relationship to their child's worry and their child's anxiety. So when you can talk back to your worry, remember, worry is the thinking that sort of perpetuates and leads into anxiety. Because anxiety is a combination of feeling in your feelings, your physiology and your thinking. If you can learn to talk back to your worry, then you're going to start to feel more empowered. So if we take the example of someone who hates doing presentations, excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with my voice. So if we take the example of someone who hates doing presentations at work, we're not going to completely rid this person of worry about those presentations or anxiety when it's time to stand up. We're not going to do that. Our goal is to turn the volume down so that you feel like you're in the control tower. You are driving the car that is you. Anxiety is not driving the car that is you off the cliff. So in other words, so how do you respond in those moments? So essentially what you want to do is think about a time when you had to do something else that was really scary for you. Perhaps you had a job interview for this job that you have to do a presentation for, and you were very nervous about it. You didn't sleep the night before. You changed your clothes 12 times. You were worried, and you were anxious, and you were predicting that you weren't going to do well, because that's what anxiety does. It just feeds negative thinking over and over again, right? Negative thinking feeds anxiety. It's just a loop that we get on. Right. So, but you got the job, so you obviously made it through the interview successfully. So instead of focusing on, well, that was just luck, let's think about the concrete ways that you succeeded at that interview. Let's identify what those are. So, and then whatever those things were, you were friendly. You shook out your hand. You made a joke. You were prepared. You researched the job. You read about it so that you were able to speak about it intelligently, and you knew that you could do this job. This was a job that was within your bailiwick, and so you were confident that you could do what was being asked of you. So if you break it down in those ways, and then you can say, oh, okay, so I was prepared. Am I prepared for my presentation? Yes. I made a joke, and so that relaxed everybody, including me. Can I do that here? Yes. And I was talking about something, in terms of my experience and the subject for this job that I knew something about. Am I doing that here? Yes. Okay, so actually I do know how to do this presentation. So that's what I'm talking about, shifting the perspective from one of I can't do this to what have I done in the past that's helped me succeed and carrying it forward.
I love that. And it's not woo-woo. It's not, you're not trying to tell yourself something that you don't believe. You're not saying I'm awesome at presentations and this is how this is going to go down. You're really drawing on what I call experiential data. So you're examining experiential data that actually proves to you that you can be successful in this environment. You can be successful in this endeavor. You've done well before, and when you examine it, you can see the reasons why you've done well before. You can look for examples. Again, you can look for that data and pull from it and actually work from it and use it to change the way that you think about yourself. I think that's an awesome way to frame it. I love that. I love that.
Because what happens is in these moments, people panic, like, oh my God, I'm going to have this presentation. If it's not good, I'm going to lose my job. What's going to happen? I'm going to bomb. And that's because the volume of your anxiety is a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
It would be fine, and it would be very understandable and normal if it was at 5, because this is your first presentation. So how do we get it from 10 to 5? And how we do that is exactly what you said, using experiential data.
I love that. Thinking about it in terms of turning down the volume, that's a great way to frame it. I really like that.
No, I think because most people come in, they're like, I want to get rid of this anxiety. I hate this anxiety. When in reality, you're not going to go away. It's part of how you're wired. Anxiety has been my friend for a very long time.
Most of us can relate to that.
And I I don't ask myself anymore to get rid of it. I ask myself, what can I do to turn the volume down? What has happened in the past that I have had a similar situation? Did I get this thing done? I did. I'll get it done this time.
I love it. So it's all about turning down the volume. That's great.
It is. And in a way, you're going to have to turn down the volume is talking back to those negative thoughts.
Absolutely.
And you're going to talk back to those negative thoughts with the successes and achievements in the past in your hand.
So it's fully believable. It's not some, fantasy that's hopeful. It's fully believable because it really happened. You have that proof, right? That's awesome.
Right. But anxiety creates amnesia.
Yeah.
So what I suggest for people, it does. And if you have, working memory challenges, what I've observed in people I live with and work with who have ADHD is that they don't hold on to their successes in the way that I would hope. So what I encourage people to do is to write things down. Not at the time, because no one is going to write down, I turned my article in, quick, I have to write that down. But that if you're sitting, if you have an event that is freaking you out, to sit down and write down what your negative thoughts are about it, and think about what your goal is. Like, I would like to feel confident about my presentation. And think of a time when you did something similar to the challenge you're facing and how you succeeded. Write that down and post it somewhere. Send a message to yourself so that you can go back every time that anxiety, you get a wave of that anxiety and look at what you've written to kind of coach yourself through it.
Absolutely. And that's where we encourage our clients to use, there's a million different names for it. Some people call them kudos files. I have a client who calls hers her happy thoughts journal or something like that, success journal. And I have a paper file, like a physical file folder where I stick things like, physical letters that I get from people, thank you cards from clients, things like that. And then I have a digital file where I save emails from people, things like that, but also where I will send myself an email that says, this happened and this went well, and here are the things that I want to remember next time. So when you're feeling anxious or you're feeling less than or you're feeling, unsure of yourself and you have that sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, crisis of confidence or, whatever, you have a place to go to easily find that stuff. Now, if like most of us ADDers are going to want to put it on a Post-it, or a random piece of paper or something that you can't find when you need it. But if you have sort of a system for those things and you have a place where you can capture them, it can be really powerful in changing those thoughts. It can be really powerful in redirecting, the way you're feeling about yourself and the way you're feeling about whatever it is that you're challenged by in the moment. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I love that idea myself, actually, what you said of putting it in a digital file, because even for people who don't have ADHD, people don't tend to hold on to their successes or their, when, as much as it would be helpful for them to do. The human brain, and part of that is because, when we lived in the jungle, we needed to have be alert and aware for incoming dangers. And so our brain is sort of wired for that. And so being able to hold on to your successes when things are going well is important, and also to go against the trends in our world today. I mean, you every minute of every day you can read something of bad news on your phone. It takes about 1 nanosecond, and people are more anxious than ever, I think, because there's no escaping the bad or frightening news. And so something small that happens in one country thousands of miles away becomes a big event for all of us everywhere. And there are certainly amazing things about that, so people can help other people. But by the same token, it seems like there's horrible earthquakes everywhere all the time. You know? So it's different.
It is different. It is different. Good stuff, really good stuff. So anything else you want to share? I mean, I think you've given us a lot to think about, and definitely I love the volume sort of, metaphor for thinking about your anxiety, because that's, trying to make it go away is not always realistic, and it isn't always possible, and it really isn't always the thing that is best for you to focus on. I think that's a wonderful way to think about it.
I would say that if people are really suffering with anxiety, that it's worth consulting with their physician about that, because sometimes medications can give you a little space between your thinking and your intense, overwhelming feelings, particularly if you're going through a major transition in life, whether it's a divorce or moving or a sick family member or a new job even. Sometimes it's hard to regulate anxiety, and you can try all these things and you're still waking up at 4 a.m. every day. And in those moments, it's worth consulting your physician and talking about if there's a medication that could help you, not necessarily for the rest of your life, but just for maybe 6 months as you move through something. And the other thing that I want to say is that, anxiety is a very tough adversary. It takes your natural worry and distorts it out of proportion. And so it's hard to sort of, it's like a tidal wave of emotion can flood you, and it's hard to keep swimming. Sometimes you just feel like you're being sucked into the riptide. And be kind to yourself. You're not always going to be able to turn the volume down, and that's okay. It's the times when you can, where you can, give yourself a pat on the back and say, I have the tools to do this. I just did it. Look at me. Isn't that great?
Yeah, I love it. I think that's awesome. Thank you so much. Tell us again, Sharon, a little bit, about how our listeners can contact you, where they can find you, any other information you'd like to share.
Of course. The best way to learn more about me is my website, and to sign up for my blog and other information that I dispense through my website, which is DrSharonSaline.com, DrSharonSaline.com. But I also have a very active Facebook page, and I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn as well.
Okay, awesome. And don't forget to check out Sharon's book if you're a parent of a child or children with ADHD. Absolutely check that out. And we'll have a link to Sharon's website on the ADHD Support Talk website, and also you'll be able to find out through the ADHD Support Talk Facebook group. If you haven't yet, please find the ADHD Support Talk Facebook group and request membership, answer the questions, and we'd love to have you as part of the community. Well, again, thanks so much, Sharon. It's been a real pleasure. I'm so glad we could do this morning. And again, you're listening to ADHD Support Talk radio podcast. I'm your co-host, Lynne Edris, and I look forward to sharing with you guys again. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you so much for having me, Lynn. It's been a great pleasure.
My pleasure, absolutely.